Previously on the Frontier Farmer. The area which we cleared is now ready for us to create our second field. So I'm going to get busy ploughing this first of all, going around the border. And that is our second field, all completed. And then after we've picked up all these stones, we can come along and lime spread. Well, that's the lime loaded, and now we can load up this new spreader. I do like it when we get new equipment. Quick refill if you'd be so kind. By eye, that is everything covered. But we need to get this field cultivated. So let's head on in and get to drilling. That's the sorghum all drilled. Hey, that's how we roll. Quite literally. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Frontier Farmer at the Dark Forest. Starting over at the wood workshop today on a misty May morning, and that's because we needed to get the workshop a little bit warmed up, because in the not too distant future we are going to have to start doing some logging again to get the funds of the homestead back up and running. Luckily our sorghum has all germinated. We drilled this last time and that's looking pretty healthy so far, but we have a bit of a plan today to make sure that they are going to yield very well, and also our oats, we want to make sure they both yield as best as possible. So if we take a look at the map, we can see our two fields here, and they have what looks like scattered secondary fertilizer. There's some patches which are still on the primary level, so that seems to be from the fact that we mowed grass and then we had some fertilizer in our seed drill. So there's some areas that we need to top up where there wasn't grass mowed into the ground. So we are going to need some form of way of spreading fertilizer. Luckily there are no weeds in the field because we ploughed the ground, but there's every chance they could come up again in the future. So what I'm thinking is we should get a sprayer for the homestead, and that is going to future-proof us because we will be able to herbicide and spray fertilizer where we need to. We could of course use our solid spreader and get some solid fertilizer and spread it that way, but I'm thinking a sprayer is probably the better way to go for now and for the future. So I'm going to hop in the wheel loader. I'm also going to get the trailer because I think there's a few bits of equipment that we are going to need to pick up this morning. So we can grab the trailer that's tucked up behind here, and we're taking the wheel loader and the trailer because I think there's a few bits that we want to pick up. A sprayer, and that's going to need a tank of fertilizer. And we will also need a stump grinder because there are some stumps that we can't quite get out of the field opposite the sorghum field where the chainsaw doesn't quite get them out of the ground. And here we are at the distribution centre, and let's see what they've got by way of sprayers. Now I think the best sprayer available to us is the Lizard P031 Termit 303. Can take 300 litres of both fertiliser or herbicide, and it's got a spreading width of 8 metres, which isn't too bad. 30 horsepower is what it needs, and we've changed the colour to a nice one to match our farmall, so let's buy that. Now we need some liquid fertiliser, so I'm opting for some barrels, which are $1,200 for 1,500 litres. And for stump grinders, this lizard carp, which is $3,000, is going to fit the bill quite nicely and only takes 40 horsepower. Right, so here are our various bits of equipment and supplies. So I'm going to get this quickly loaded up onto the trailer and back to the homestead. Look out, Artemus. Right, we are back at the homestead with all of our equipment, so let's just swing by here and get everything unloaded nicely. Okay, we've got everything unloaded, and I'm going to dangle the pallet of fertilizer just above the sprayer, see if we can load our sprayer with the fertilizer once we get the farm all attached to it. There we go, so we can just back up and pick up our new sprayer, and this is a nifty little sprayer. So I think we can refill, there we go, and we are refilling from the barrel. And yeah, we're one barrel down now in the stack of barrels, so that's pretty cool. We will leave the wheel loader there in case we need a refill. But let's get over to the fields and we can unfold. Now luckily this tractor has care wheels built in. And we do have crop destruction on, but because we've got narrow tyres, we're not going to be damaging the crop so much. Okay, I have made a bit of an error because we have actually damaged the crop. If I unfold, we can see that the 8 meters is not bad for a starting out sprayer, but it is quite small, so we are going to end up making these tracks, which I've just buried into the oat field all across, and it's only a small field anyway, so I think for the patches that we need to fertilise we're okay leaving it as is, but unfortunately we've just damaged the field ever so slightly there, but never mind. However, if we go and spray this field up here, we'll notice that we're not actually going to damage the crop because it is in a earlier growth stage. We can drive in it and it's young enough that we are not going to damage it. So unfortunately I left the oats too long to get them fertilised, but yeah, it's only a negligible amount that we need to secondary fertilise. So we can just switch on here and start secondary fertilise spraying the sorghum without damaging it. So yeah, we're just going to do one field out of 2, but next time I will remember that if we're going to spray we need to do it in the first growth stage really. Right, let's get this all sprayed up and I'll see you when we're done. And there we go, that was very quick. But let's have a quick look at the map and see if we've got everything covered. There we go, that's looking a little bit better. A couple of tiny little patches, but that's not going to be too much of a problem. But unfortunately our field number 1, we've not been able to spray that because we're going to damage the crop too much. So we will have to leave that and remember to spray it earlier next time. Right, so a very quick debut of our new sprayer, but I think it worked pretty well. And it's quite nifty for our little homestead to have a nice little sprayer. But let's get this parked up somewhere in the shed and we can get on to stump grinding those stumps away. There we go, you can live in there. And let's grab the stump grinder and head on over to where the stumps are on the right hand side up here. Right, so we have a few stumps here to clear. So I'm going to turn the stump grinder on. And there we go, and we can lower away and hopefully see those stumps clear off. There we go, that got it. A little bit finicky. And also worth noting that the animation on this stump grinder doesn't work as well. You can't see the blade spinning and you can't see the sawdust popping out of the stump, but not to worry, not going to argue for the price of 3,000 compared to the price of some of the other stump grinders. And also some of the other stump grinders are a little bit too futuristic, too modern for this series. There we go, that's the third one. Yeah, this series is all about being very rustic and out in the frontier with older equipment. And as you'll notice, some of our older equipment has been a little bit sketchy in this field. We had missed a couple of spots of sorghum, so it's a bit patchy, but yeah, a bit more realistic, I guess, in that we've not had modern technology to guide us and show us the way where to drill. So yeah, it all adds to the character of the homestead. Right, grinding done. We can get the stump grinder parked away, and then we are going to be placing some storage for our lime, seed, liquid fertilizer, and also our solid fertilizer. Right, that's the farm all parked away. So we need somewhere to store our big bags of seed, lime and fertilizer, and also liquid fertilizer. So I spotted this commodity storage, which is quite a rustic storage yard for all of those things, and it's going to be $15,000, but that's going to mean we have less big bags and paraphernalia floating around the homestead. So let's place that in this yard area here. Now I am going to place more things here as and when we need to. I'm thinking a place for us to get fuel, diesel for the tractors and the farm equipment, and then no doubt in the future there are going to be more things for us to place for the homestead. Right, so I've jumped in the Volvo and I'm going to be testing out our new commodity storage yard, and we should be able to store liquid fertilizer in here. So let's drop this down. So the drop off for this yard is actually on the far side here, so we should start to see that unloading now. Right, so this storage yard doesn't seem to like our liquid fertilizer, but I have noticed that it is accepting the seed, so I think it just doesn't like the barrels we've got. So I'm going to have to just stash those barrels around the side for now, and in the future we will get the other pallets of liquid fertilizer, so it's a bit easier to get this loaded up. Right, that's dropped off there, so let's get all the other big bags dropped off in this storage yard. Last bag of lime going in, and took a little bit of organisation, but we have got everything in there now apart from the barrels of liquid fertilizer. But I'm thinking that we can probably unload the sprayer that we have, and that will create a general typical fertilizer IBC, and that will probably be able to unload into there, but that's okay, just to the side for now. But yeah, we've got our seed, our solid fertilizer and our lime in the commodity storage yard, which, yeah, is pretty good. I quite like that. It was difficult to try and find a silo that was compatible with storing your own stuff, but yeah, that's all good. One thing whilst I'm over this way I wanted to check is our silage in the bunker. That should now be ready and fully fermented, and we can get that uncovered and loaded up into a trailer and sold. Now, it might sound a little bit counterintuitive, but we need to purchase a bucket for the wheel loader and a trailer for us to load the silage into, and then hopefully we might be able to break even with this 15,000 litres of silage. So that's the next job. Hop back in the wheel loader and we'll head on down to the store to grab a bucket and grab a new trailer, one that's capable of carting silage, and yeah, we'll also need one that's capable of carting grain for when we have our future harvests. So we'll see what's on offer and bring that all back. Right, here we are, back again. Frequent visitors, they should offer us a discount really. So we want a bucket and a trailer. So I think the most cost effective for us is the multi-purpose bucket from the CSED pack. That can take 5,000 litres and costs $3,200. So yeah, that should be good for us. And for trailers, you might have guessed it, it is the brother to our log trailer and our flatbed, the BSS P93S, and this has a capacity of 11,500 litres, and it's got a cover, and I think we can extend it even more than this for things like chaff and grass and or hay. So let's go ahead and buy this. So here is our bucket and here is our trailer. Now I'm going to have to probably do 2 loads because we've got 15,000 litres and this will only take 11.5, so I can have one small load to bring, but that's okay. So let's get hitched up to the trailer. Fantastic. We can head back to the homestead, get both loads of silage loaded up and taken back here to sell. See you when we're done. That's the second partial load of silage sold at the distribution centre, and we've made a few thousand from it. Not massive bumper profits that we're used to from silage, but nonetheless some modest profits from our 15,000 litres. And we're not really selling at the peak price for silage, which is around January, but nonetheless we didn't have any other use for that silage, so it's good to sell it and claw some money back. Now, this trailer has a cover, but it's good to live around the back of our shed. And for the time being we can store our bucket here. We are running out of shed space already, and considering we didn't build the yard that long ago, we are going to have to expand it in the future, especially when we get some bigger equipment. So that's the Volvo parked up, and I think for the rest of this afternoon we are going to spend some time cutting down trees in a new section of woodland, and that is going to be to hopefully raise some money and also clear some land for our next endeavours. So I'm hopping in the Massey skid steer, and we will grab the saw blade so we can get into action. There we go. This certainly is a plucky little skid steer and forestry machine. Now I think the area we are going to clear is that behind the silage bunker, as I think that's where we're going to expand the homestead next. We will of course carry on around the lake later on, but for now I think we're going to head on into this way and cut down a section of trees, and that wood is going to provide us some money, and it's also going to clear the way for some expansion. So I'm going to get the blade set up for us to go. We'll switch it on. So let's head on in and cut down our first tree, and I want to make sure I cut them in an angle that they're going to fall away from our field. I was way off, I can't see because of the bush, and I am also looking in to see if there's a piece of machinery that will help clear the bushes out, because the bushes do make it quite hard for us to see where we are going. Right, I'm going to get stuck in and cut down our next section of woodland. Okay, so I have cut down quite a sizable section of the forest, and it always looks like absolute chaos when I do, because we can't de-limb the trees. We don't have a modern forestry machine, but we can topple them over with this buzz saw on the skid steer, and we've cleared out a sort of square section that sits behind our silage bunker and logging management yard and our second field, and it goes down to near where the border of our first field is. So yep, this is the new area that we're going to expand into, and I'm sure we will expand many more times in the future. But that's it for cutting down trees today. Now I think between this session and next I am going to de-limb all of the logs and cut the stumps away, just to make the clearing of all of the big trees much easier and cleaner. But the Massey skid steer has done a fantastic job chopping them all down, so we can get that parked away. And I think that's probably it for time this afternoon. It's been a mixed session. We've had lots of little different jobs to do. We bought a new sprayer, and we couldn't unfortunately fertilise our first field because it's too far grown and we would have damaged it quite a bit. We did damage it a small amount, as you can see here, but learned our lesson for next time, so that's all learning. But we did manage to fertilise our sorghum in the second field. Drop the saw off there and get the skid steer parked up. There we go. And after we did the spraying, we placed our new commodities yard so we can store seed, fertiliser, lime and also liquid fertiliser, which is pretty handy. We sold the silage from our silage bunker and managed to make a little bit of money back. And lastly, we cleared another section of trees, cutting them down, so we've got an area space to clear out next time, and we should be able to get the logs in our wood storage yard and then load them up to take them for sale. But that is it, and I hope you have enjoyed watching. If you have, remember to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't. But all there's left to say is hope to see you again next time on the Frontier Farmer, and until then, I'll catch you later. Cheers all, bye bye.